In my last video, I was warning that this heatwave could turn dangerous fast. Not because every hot day is an emergency, not because I want people scared, but because heat stroke is one of those risks Britain still underestimates. And now, across Europe, we are starting to see why those warnings matter. People are drowning while trying to cool off, animals are dying in huge numbers. Railways, power systems, schools, farms, care homes and hospitals are all feeling the strain. And the most important part is this: summer has barely started. And if that sounds dramatic, look at Europe right now. The same heat that fills beer gardens can also empty reservoirs, close schools, delay trains and overwhelm families quietly. So this video is not "I told you so," it's a calm adjustment. If the first video was about surviving the heatwave itself, this one is about what comes next. Water security, food storage in extreme heat, pet safety, infrastructure strain, and why your summer preparedness plan may need to change. Welcome back to Charlie Survival. If you're new here, this channel is about UK preparedness and survival. No panic, just what normal households can do before a problem becomes a crisis. If that's your sort of thing, subscribe and drop a comment telling me what worries you most about the rest of this summer: water, food storage, pets, keeping the house cool, or the power grid. Because this is not just a weather story anymore, it's becoming a preparedness story, and the mistake people make with heat is thinking it only attacks the body. It does not, it attacks the system that keeps the body safe. When it gets this humid and hot, people naturally head for water. Rivers, lakes, reservoirs, beaches. When your house is baking and your body feels heavy, water feels like the obvious escape. But that is where one of the hidden dangers begins. The air outside can be roasting, but the water can still be cold. You jump in hot, your body gasps, your breathing spikes, your heart rate surges, panic sets in, and suddenly the thing you ran to for relief becomes the danger. This is why I keep talking about open water. People do not only die from the heat itself, they die from the decisions the heat pushes them into. And when millions of people change their behavior at once, the pressure spreads. Railways slow down because steel tracks can get far hotter than the air. Steel expands, tracks can buckle, trains slow down or stop. Power systems get strained because everyone suddenly needs cooling. Fans, fridges, freezers, air conditioning, shops, care homes, hospitals. All of it works harder at the same time. Water systems come under pressure because demand jumps. People drink more, shower more, water gardens, fill paddling pools, cool pets, and farms need irrigation. If the ground is dry, grass fires become more likely. If a fire starts, fire services need water and access at exactly the time the whole system is already under strain. Hospitals and ambulances face pressure from both directions. More heat-related calls coming in while the people responding are working in the same heat themselves. Care homes can become dangerously hot inside, which is frightening when the people inside are often least able to regulate their temperature. So the real danger is not one thing failing, it's several things being stressed at once. Your body, your home, your pets, your stored food, your water supply, the power grid, the transport network, emergency services. Once you see heat like that, you stop treating it like weather and start treating it like a resilience test. And the first system most people ignore until it's too late is water. In winter, people think about keeping warm. In summer, the survival question can become: how much clean water do I actually have if demand rises, restrictions begin, or something local goes wrong? Now, I'm not saying your tap water is suddenly unsafe, but water security is not just about whether the tap works right now. It's about having a buffer before everyone else realizes they need one. Think in layers. Drinking water first, then cooking water, then hygiene, then pets, then backup filtration or purification if your normal supply is disrupted. A basic minimum is 2 liters per person per day for drinking, but in real heat, that is not enough for life. You need extra for cooking, washing, cooling, clothes, pets, and anyone vulnerable. Use proper water containers if you can. Keep them clean, sealed, cool, and out of sunlight. Rotate them, label them. Do not leave bottles baking in the car, conservatory, shed, or garage. Keep a water purifier like a Sawyer Mini in the car for emergencies. And filters are useful, but they are not magic. A good filter can help with bacteria, sediment, and emergency water sources, depending on the model. But if water is chemically contaminated by fueled salt water or industrial runoff, that is a different problem. So store clean water first, filter second, purify where needed, and know your local water sources before you're desperate. I get a lot of comments and emails about the kit I actually use, so I've put together a Charlie Survival Amazon kit list you can find in the description. Water containers, filters, room thermometers, cooling bits, pet safety bits, and simple home preparedness gear. Use it as a shortlist, not a shopping addiction. With the current thunderstorms and blackouts happening across Britain, you can get my free blackout checklist in the pinned comments to help you. It gives you the basic home readiness foundation every UK household should have. And for the people who want a serious UK preparedness plan, my course, the UK Crisis Readiness System, is the deeper version. The half price sale on that course ends in 5 days, so if you've been thinking about grabbing it, now is the time. Now for the part almost nobody talks about, food storage in extreme heat. This is where people can get caught out because a pantry is only as good as the place you store it. You can spend hundreds of pounds on oats, rice, pasta, tins, beans, mylar bags and freeze-dried meals, then ruin the shelf life by storing it in the worst room in the house. A loft is usually terrible, a shed is usually terrible, a garage can be terrible if it bakes in the sun, a car is awful, a conservatory is basically a food-killing greenhouse. Heat speeds up degradation, it affects flavour, texture, nutrition, packaging, fats, oils and long-term stability. So if you have prepper or stored food in a hot loft, move it. The best place is usually boring, under the stairs, a north-facing cupboard, an internal downstairs cupboard, a cool utility room, or anywhere dark, dry and stable. For cans, do not panic and put your whole stockpile in the fridge. That is not realistic, and fridge space should go to medicines, perishables, insulin, pet food that needs chilling and things that genuinely require cold storage. Cans are genuinely fine if stored cool, dry and away from direct heat, but if a can is bulging, leaking, badly rusted, badly dented, or the lid flexes strangely, do not smell test it, bin it. For mylar bags, oats, rice, flour and pasta, the enemy is heat plus humidity. Keep them sealed, keep them dry, keep them away from warm walls and hot roofs. Freeze-dried meals are more heat tolerant than many foods but still last longer in cool, dark storage. Once opened, heat and humidity are your enemy. Olive oil, cooking oil, nut butters, anything fatty can go rancid faster in heat. Store them cooler, rotate them faster and do not keep huge amounts in a hot place just because it looks like prepping. This is the boring side of preparedness, but it matters. Your pantry is not protected because it is full. It's protected because it is stored properly. Now, pets. This section matters because animals pay for our mistakes quickly. Dogs do not cool like we do, they rely heavily on panting, and once heat stroke starts, it can move frighteningly fast. No dogs left in cars, ever, not for 5 minutes, not with the window cracked, not in the shade while you nip to the shop. Walk them early or late. In serious heat, think before 6 in the morning or after 8 at night. Check the pavement with your hand. If you cannot hold your hand on the tarmac for 5 seconds, it is too hot for paws. Watch for heavy panting, drooling, red gums, weakness, vomiting, wobbliness or collapse. Cool them gradually with cool water, not freezing shock treatment. Move them to shade, use airflow, wet towels carefully, and call for a vet if they do not improve quickly or seem seriously unwell. Cats matter too. Do not trap them in conservatories, sheds or rooms that bake. Give them shade, cool floors, water in more than one place, and a way to move away from heat. Small pets like rabbits and guinea pigs can be even more vulnerable. Hutches in direct sun can become lethal. Shade moves during the day, so check it more than once. So the rule is simple. If you would not sit there in a fur coat, do not leave the animal there. And this brings us back to the bigger picture. This is not about becoming paranoid. It's about noticing that British summers are changing faster than British homes, habits and infrastructure. We are used to preparing for winter. We think about torches, blankets, fuel, power cuts, storms and cold. But summers now need its own plan. So here's the practical plan. Store water before you need it. Move food out of hot places. Check filters and containers. Keep pets out of danger. Protect the fridge and freezer. Keep one room as cool as possible. Check on older family and neighbours. Respect open water. And stop treating heat as if it is just a bit of sunshine. Because the UK is not built for this yet. Until it is, ordinary households have to close the gap. If this video helped, comment below of the one thing you are sorting first. Water, food storage, pets, power or keeping the house cool. And subscribe if you want calm, practical UK preparedness and survival without the nonsense. The easiest next step is the free blackout checklist pinned in the comments. Start there, get the basics in place, then build from it. If you are ready for the full preparedness plan, the UK Crisis Readiness System course is the next level. It's there for people who do not want random tips scattered across YouTube, but a complete UK specific system they can follow step by step. And if you do want just the gear, the Charlie Survival Amazon kit list is in the description. If you gain something from this and want more, I highly recommend clicking this video on screen next about how to keep yourself and your house even cooler. Click it and I'll see you over there.